Thank you for joining us here on the NPTE Final Frontier Podcast. My name is David.
And my name is Emily. Today, we will be interviewing Margie Nguyen. She's a physical therapist assistant who works in the home care setting. She received her professional education from Northern Virginia Community College, where she became a PTA. She has also founded the successful Not Just a PTA social media account. And in addition, she is a host of Therapy Talk Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast, Margie.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks, David. Thank you for having me.
Of course, it is a pleasure to have you here with us. So tell us about your journey. How did you get interested in becoming a PTA?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't really know what a PTA was until probably a year or two before I applied for the program. I went to Old Dominion University to get my bachelor's degree. I majored in exercise science, and a lot of the exercise science majors went onto the DPT program. I'm not going to lie, I changed my major before that, so my GPA definitely wasn't up to par to apply to the DPT program. I didn't know what I wanted to do after college, but I didn't think more school was the answer. I swore off school. I was a PT tech right after graduation, moved back to the DC area, was a tech and an aide for a couple other companies. And in one of my outpatient companies, they had a lot of PTAs, and I was just, it's like, what's a PTA? What's the difference between you and me? So they told me about the program and what a PTA does, and really pushed me to go back to school, whether it was for DPT or PTA. And I would say that's really how I got my foot in the door. I did the prerequisites, sent the application off. It was about 40 seats. I heard back within 3 months. It was 2 years of like the hardest but best thing I've ever done for my life and my career, and I really enjoy it.
That's great. And I know that it has paid off because we see on your successful social media platforms, you working with all of your patients and making their lives so much better and improved just from working with you. So you are definitely exactly where you were meant to be. That is no doubt about it.
Thanks, David. It's very kind of you.
Now,
Of
that's a
course.
great way to bring us into the next question. How did you, or when did you decide to start Not Just a PTA? And really, what was your thought process behind it? How did you get there?
I want to say I started a year after I graduated from the PTA program. I noticed social media, specifically Instagram, was like slowly on the rise. And I noticed when it came to physical therapy content or content creators, it was mainly PT students, DPTs, PTs, but not really PTAs. Even though we do a lot of similar things when it comes to patient care, I didn't really see any PTAs on social media. I think maybe two. One was on YouTube, and one was like a Facebook group for PTAs in general. But I didn't really like have anybody to look towards or ask questions. So I kept rambling on. Like, I wish there was, something for PTAs. And I turned, why isn't there a page for PTAs to why not me? I have a very, very short history being on college campus radio. I like to talk a lot. So I think that helped me. And yeah, a year after graduation, the pages took off. I think COVID definitely played in my favor. Everybody was online, and it blew up very quickly. I wouldn't say overnight, but I definitely didn't expect it to even catch on.
No, I think that's great. And I think it's so important for our professions as PTs and PTAs to not only advocate for our own professions, but advocate for each other's. Because, like you said, we are so hand in hand. We work as teammates. We need to be in unison with one another. So I think having these social media platforms can really shine a light on your profession. And as we know, social media now, Instagram, TikTok, all of these other outlets are such a huge way that people get their educational sources from these days. That's really the easiest way to just scroll through your feed and learn. So I think that's a huge way to really advocate as PTAs. And like you said, I think it really took off, especially since people have been on social media more recently.
Absolutely. Yeah, I get to meet people all over the United States. I even met David on social media. We met in person at a conference. It connected me to people that I am amazed still to this day by the power of social media, just the connection that it builds through, the algorithm gods. But it's definitely a good tool. I wish I had something like this when I was in school for a resource. It's just some really great tools. Now, even like studying for the NPTE, I definitely didn't have you guys.
Yeah, I think that it's incredible. And I think that you are providing a voice for many PTAs out there, especially through your platform, because you're showing them what those PTAs do in their daily activities, what they do in their lives, even financially, how beneficial it could be to be a PTA. So I think that you are serving as an incredible voice for all PTAs out there and educating a lot of PTs and PTAs out there, especially students that may not know exactly what a PTA can do, how well they'll do, what the opportunities are. So you are doing fantastic with all of that.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So that being said, what is one thing you feel could be done to make the physical therapy profession better?
Ooh, how much time do we have, David?
Oh,
I mean,
it's okay. I don't, you could go for 30 minutes, an hour. As long as people listen, we could keep recording.
I definitely, from like a clinician point of view, I really think we need to have a better tackle on Medicare and the reimbursement. We go through this every year. And I don't really see much of a change. And it's very hard to be motivating, to be optimistic when like the reimbursement cuts happen every year, and it's more cuts and more cuts and more rules, and it's a lot of loopholes. But I think as a whole, I would really like for DPT programs to incorporate in their curriculum and their didactic to have, either if it's not a course, a day, a weekend, or something to work and co-treat, maybe even with a PTA or the OT or SLP programs, just so that they're not too lost after graduation. The interdisciplinary team, I can tell when someone's a new grad. It's like they don't know. They like don't want to offend you because you're a PTA, but then like they have questions and they don't really know what we know. And I took the boards just like you guys. I have to know the patient just like you, as much as you, because you're passing the patient off to me. And I think if we incorporated that in the DPT and PTA curriculum, it would definitely iron out some of the issues that we have in the field. And I think it builds for a better dynamic and teamwork, like you mentioned at the beginning.
Yeah, and I think that it's important to note that just like with physical therapists, you get your license, you pass that NPTE, and when you do work with a patient, that is a liability, not just but for you as the PTA. So I think that working with that PTA on that educational aspect before you even get into the field and interact with the PTA, I think in general, and same thing, vice versa, where a PTA working with a PT, learning more about the PT aspect, because I'm sure you do have a group of PTAs out there that may not necessarily know about what fully a PT does in a daily routine and PT about PTA. So working together in a collaboration would be incredible in that interdisciplinary aspect I've always loved. So I'm all about that. I think that's great.
Yeah, and just to even elaborate on that further, I think you brought up such a good point is, you know, the curriculum side of it, how we are implementing this as faculty members, as programs to the students. Because I remember in school, we learned the what. We learned what PTAs were. We learned what all of these different professional titles were. But we really didn't learn the how. We didn't learn how we can work together, how we can bridge those connections and best help with patient care. And I think that is something that I struggled with it was as a new grad was I think not just in this realm of PT, but we learned a lot of definitions.
Mhm.
But how do you incorporate those definitions into treatment, into care, to provide the best quality care that is efficient and seamless? So I think that's a really good point that you brought up. And just to dive into the next question, I know you said not just a PTA kind of took right off, which I'm very happy about. But if you did have to say an area where maybe it was a little bit more challenging, what was the biggest difficulty you faced when starting, not just a PTA?
Starting any page or social media content, whether you're on Instagram or TikTok, it is a one man or one woman show. I am the producer, the creator, the editor, the caption writer. And a lot of this is during my limited free time that I have. And it's not paid. It's because I have a passion, it's because I really, really want to help people, but it is hard. Social media thrives on content, and if you don't make content or post regularly, you get less views, and it's very hard to climb back up. You may make a video and post it and get 1,000 views or likes one day, and then you post the next day and you get two. It's a little discouraging, but you don't want to take it too personally. I would say if anybody is interested, and it doesn't have to be for PT, if you're into content making and your page is public, do expect trolls, do expect haters. I used to think that you have to have thick skin to really be really resilient against these negative comments, but also remember that you are human and give yourself grace. You are allowed to feel. Words do matter. So I would say take it with a grain of salt. These people don't know you. You will probably never ever see them, especially those who have, a bunch of random letters and numbers as their username and no picture. It can be very daunting. There are days when I'm just like, I just want to close all this and just be done. But you have to remember like what your reason, what your why was, and just remember that the bigger picture is I want to help people and reach somebody and provide and be the resource or mentor that I didn't have as a new grad or a student going through the program.
That's great. And you definitely are that mentor for so many out there. And you just hit us with a lot of great advice. So now I'm going to push you a little bit further. What is one piece of the advice that you would give to PT and PTA students now?
Um, this is a really good question since we're like at the beginning of like the school season. I would say know how you learn. How do you take in information? For physical therapy as a general subject, the first month, semester, maybe, is very, I call it like flashcard learning. Yeah, you can learn all the muscles on a flashcard, you can learn all the bones on a flashcard, but then when it comes to the second semester, the second year, or for DPTs, the third year, you can't write everything on a flashcard. So then you're going to have to really learn how do you perceive information? Are you a visual learner? Are you a kinesthetic learner? An audio person? Do you need, I'm someone who does not take lecture very well. After about 30 minutes, it's starting to really sound like Charlie Brown's teacher.
Been there
And
before.
yeah, and this stuff is hard. It's not easy. There is a reason why the PT and PTA programs are very challenging. The 40 seats that you start with are not the 40 seats that you graduate with. So give yourself some grace, but the earlier you know how you learn, how you receive information, the better, and you won't waste your time trying to understand something by reading a textbook if that's not your method of learning.
Yeah, and I think just to even elaborate on that further, I know for me, the transition from undergrad to grad school, my learning styles changed. I thought I knew the flashcard approach, the writing several pages of notes and just highlighting and color coding. I thought that was efficient studying. And in undergrad, it did work for me. But I had to change my approach personally for grad school. And it took me a few semesters to kind of let that marinate and actually apply that because I thought, oh, well, nope, this used to always work. I got to stick with what I know. it's okay to adjust and learn as you go and adjust your learning approaches, even for different classes and different content. Not all things work for everything. So I think you brought up a really great point.
Yeah, absolutely. I also would like to mention that I'm someone that had a lot of pride and didn't like asking for help. Ask for help because you have so many resources as a student that are free, from tutoring centers to before and after school group studies. There's so many opportunities. It's okay if you don't know. You are not dumb. You are not stupid. You don't know what you don't know. And please don't be like me, waiting to the last hour to cram because you're not going to get it. The more, I guess, honest you are with yourself, the better you can move forward and figure out how can I learn? Where do I need help? How can I get that help? Just put your pride aside.
Totally. All right. Thank you so much for all of the valuable PT and PTA information. However, it is time for our fun surprise question. And this one is very important to me. First, congrats on recently getting married. That is huge. Now, I recently got engaged and I'm getting married next August. So, what is some advice that you would give to all of our newlywed listeners?
I should have brought my husband in for this.
We can both go grab them.
Yeah. So I would say for newlyweds, I would say continue dating. We really do try to have date night. Yeah, even if it's like ordering our favorite takeout once a week or once a month, we'll treat ourselves and go do something fun, like a festival, a concert, something like that. Marriage isn't the end of your dating relationship. I would encourage you to like try new things, really explore the city. Even if you were born and raised there, there's always something new you can discover. I think the spark and the flame can continue. You don't have to be stuck in the house. And like, now that you're married, you can't have fun. I think a lot of people forget that no, we should still continue to date. And I think that keeps our relationship fun. It gives us a break from job stress and it reminds us like, why we're together.
No, I love that. I think that's so important to continue exploring your relationships and not to be cheesy and bring it back to our careers, but I think it's the same thing when we become PTs and PTAs, we pass the boards. We don't just stop there. We need to continue to explore our profession, continue to build new relationships within the field, try new things. I did not think I would be exploring the realm of pelvic floor physical therapy. I always thought I was a neuro person, but here I am. So it's okay to try new things and change it up, not only in our relationships as newlyweds, but also within our career paths as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you never know by trying something new, going to a conference, going to a continuing education course, you might rub some elbows. You might land a new opportunity for a job, a specialty. I would say social media definitely opened up a lot of doors for me. Don't never say never. I always say people always come for me and say, I would never do home health. I could never do home health. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, I never thought I'd be in home health either, but I tried it and I really like it. The good thing about our profession is we have so many settings we can explore without having to necessarily go back to school and get another degree. We might do a certification and a Con Ed course on the weekend or something to brush some skills off. But it's really nice that we can pivot and you never know. You might find something else that you like and you're good at.
And you may find something else that you both like in a relationship together that you're good at and that you enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that your advice is incredible with marriage advice. And I feel like so many people, once they get married, they just totally forget about that dating aspect, to go on dates, to enjoy each other's company outside of the home, that it's okay to go on a romantic dinner, to go to the fair, go to the concert, do things together. It doesn't necessarily have to be come home, have dinner, go to sleep, wake up, go to work, come home, go to have dinner, go to sleep. It doesn't have to be like that. So I think that keeping that fire just on a high and that flame burning, I think that's so incredible and so very, very important. So thank you for sharing that advice. And no, I am not married and I'm not engaged. But I do think that is incredible, incredible powerful advice that I definitely agree with. So we spoke about how important social media platforms are, especially with connecting with people. How can our listeners get in touch with you to find you on social media?
Sure. I'm mainly on Instagram at NotJustaPTA, spelled out, no abbreviations, no dots, no underscore. I am on TikTok and Facebook, but Instagram is definitely my main social media platform that I use. I love getting DMs. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a DM. You can email me at notjustapta@gmail.com. I like to say that I would like to be kind of like your big sister PTA or the resource for students or new grads that I didn't have.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you very much for being on our podcast. We really do appreciate you and your time for being here today.
Thank you for having me again.
Now that you heard our interview, here is a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. The future depends on what you do today. So do not wait. Do not put it off. If you got things to do, if you got places to go, if you got dreams, goals, and ambition, then do not put it off. Do it today because your future depends upon it. You are powerful. You are strong. You are a final frontier warrior. You will pass.
Thank you very much for listening. For more information on the NPTE Final Frontier, please visit NPTEFF.com. You can also check out all of our social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
Till next time, have a great day and a powerful tomorrow. Thank you once again.